Nothing.
Oh, you know.
I don't know. You have to tell me.
I have to turn down the TV. That doesn't pick up on the mic.
Okay. They might hear the dryer going because the dryer's decided to be exceptionally loud.
You decided to turn on the dryer
I needed
right before
to.
recording.
My clothes have been in the washer since this morning. Because I put them in before I left.
And you didn't just put the... We've been here for 2 hours.
I didn't think about it until I went upstairs. Because I was like,
We were watching shitty children's television for 2 hours, Darian. You didn't just do it.
Look, I didn't think about it because I didn't have to go upstairs until I had to go get the microphone.
Oh my god. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are you today?
Here we go. Oh, but see, depending on when we're recording, we might be able to catch the chime for when it goes off.
I'm immediately hit by a wall of humid warmth, steam wafting out through the open door. I follow the wolf inside, my skin immediately growing sticky and hot, making me wish that it was a swimming pool instead of what I assume is a giant hot tub. The wolf starts to strip off his clothes. I think about looking away, but I realize this is something I should get used to.
Oh, they don't give you a choice this time.
Maybe. If I'm going to be here... if I'm going to be here much longer, I don't want to be like Alex, turning my head in surprise every 2 hours when a wolf gets naked. So I grit my teeth and don't bother to turn my head away. Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's there. Oh, you're looking.
Yeah, might as well get used to it, right?
Oh, what are you going to put there for the edit?
I don't know.
Is it going to be funny?
You'll never know. You're not going to watch it.
Rude? Maybe I will, because I just love hearing the sound of my own voice.
And I'm the one that gets called a narcissist. I very pointedly keep my eyes on Amicus's face, even though I can see the black length between his legs.
Well, I suppose that's a good idea.
The wolf seems slightly embarrassed, which is funny since he's used his nudity to tease me several times.
You're joining me, yes?
Yeah.
Good. I think you'll really enjoy this. It's hot. It's very hot, but you get used to it.
Amicus walks up to the edge of the pool.
There are two methods. Either get in slowly or all in at once.
And with that, the wolf jumps into the pool, practically cannonballing into the center and sending a huge wave that, washes over the side.
Bless.
The water that creeps up onto my feet is hot enough to make me flinch. Amicus comes back up, his fur plastered to his face. He gasps and lets out a strained yell that makes it sound like he's in pain.
Ow, 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 ow. You dumb idiot.
Are you alright? I walk up to the edge, feeling the hot water under my feet.
Fine. I'm just getting used to it. And now I am.
Amicus grins up at me. I stand there in my underwear, frowning down at the water.
Come in. It feels good.
That didn't look like it felt good.
Quit being such a flower and get in. It's only the first few seconds that are painful.
Oh my god. Flower, the main insult used by the wolves when attacking someone's masculinity. Well, I guess you do have a really low pain tolerance, so I start to dip a toe in.
Hey!
Amicus glares up at me, then grins, and I know that look well by now. Hey, don't! The wolf glides up to the edge of the pool with half of his muzzle sticking up from the water like an ominous furry shark fin. I start to move back, but then when Amicus suddenly rises out of the water, stepping onto the underwater bench along the edge of the pool that I didn't see. He wraps his arm around me, his hot fur-plastered body squeezing me again, against me for a moment, then squeezing even harder as he physically lifts me off the ground and falls back into the pool. I only have a moment to try and fight the wolf off, uselessly pushing at his bulk before I'm plunged into the steaming hot water. For a moment, I wonder if I'm going to I'm going to boil alive. But as soon as Amicus lets go and my head breaks through the surface, I can already feel the sting wearing off. It's into a pleasant warmth. I cough a few times, making a face at the salty tasting water and spitting it out.
See? Not so bad if you do it all at once.
I spit out more water.
Ah, bad taste? Don't worry, it's just the minerals in the water.
I shove a wave of water into Amicus's face, sending it right into his open mouth. He coughs and spits, choking on the water. I just forcibly slam down his throat.
What? You ass!
The wolf paws the water out of his mouth, out of his eyes, looking ready to try and splash me as well. He sees me also get ready. At the ready, though, hands up to my chest and ready to send another wave to his face.
Well, that's enough roughhousing, I guess. Stuff like this is best left for the lake.
Hey, you started it. Amicus ignores me, instead moving to sit on the underwater bench. I do the same, sitting a foot away from the wolf, enveloping my face in the steam that rises off the water.
Doesn't this feel good?
Now that I'm actually paying attention to the sensation of the water, I have to agree. The heat seems to seep through my skin and into the muscle, sending a pleasant shiver up my spine, even though I'm completely warm.
Is this the two bros sitting in a hot tub 5 feet apart? Because they're not gay, except...
They're like 1 foot apart, though.
Except two bros sitting in a hot tub 1 foot apart. Because they're
gay.
Super gay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I need to do this more often. All of this official business nonsense is starting to weigh on my mental capacities.
Is it really nonsense?
For the most part, it really is. So much useless etiquette and protocol. Sometimes I completely understand what it is Cassius dislikes about the current way of things.
What way of things?
Oh, just the way the politics work. Never saying what we're actually thinking, using coded language. It slows things down, but I don't know that there's a reason for it. Keeps things civil and peaceful, mostly.
And Cassius would do away with that?
He would do away with many things, current political protocol being one of them. It's one of the main reasons he's so popular.
Well, you seem to kind of agree with it. Getting things done without all of that official business nonsense. And the way could be a good thing.
Oh, what's he doing?
He's fine.
Were you suspect of him?
Yeah.
Why are you suspect of him?
He was chewing on this earlier.
That's true. He does do that for attention.
Amicus sinks lower into the water until it's up to his neck.
Remember the story I told you about Drusus and Mira?
Yeah.
Well, whether that story is true or not, he was the one that started the way we do things to this day. Before him, well, we had a string of populist emperors, and the results were not great from what I've heard. What I've read. You read? Honestly, I completely understand what it is that makes Cassius appealing to the people, and it's something that I sometimes want to do myself. The only thing holding me back is history. Time and time again, whenever a leader like Cassius has come around, it only results in a weak, isolated empire.
Well, from what little I've heard, isn't that how it is now?
Well, yes, but that's because we've never fully transitioned into an outward-looking and outreaching empire. Drusus started it, but it's taken us 10,000 years to get here. It was much worse back then, and that's what Cassius wants to go back to. I intend to take some of the final steps so that we may join the other siblings on the journey to parenthood.
Oh, so that's the goal for everyone, to become a parent.
Yes, and to continue the spread of our culture beyond the galaxy.
So what makes you a parent?
when we can travel to other galaxies in a practical manner.
Oh, so why not just use the stretch drive for that?
It is not possible to harness enough power to use the stretch drive for such distances. The parents have a different method, but they haven't told us how, obviously.
So, are you close to doing it?
To intergalactic travel? No.
Is anyone?
Well, there are rumors that the Chemians are on the verge of it. It wouldn't surprise me. It's assumed that they already know how to use their own stretch drive.
This talk about the stretch drive reminds me of something. So, when I was out serving Cassius, Amicus growls softly in his throat as I remind him. Well, they were talking about stuff about the stretch drive depletion or whatever.
Oh?
Yeah, so apparently no one knows why your parents stopped talking to you guys, and Virginia was saying that you might never leave the star system again.
Oh.
I frown at him.
Well, that was rather presumptuous of her.
Is it true?
Well, no. I mean, sure, it doesn't happen often, but they stopped immediately after Father's death. There's no other explanation than that our parent knew there would be issues with the Emperorship. I can read. The stretch and contact with our parent will be reestablished once I become Emperor. I promise you that, Marco.
Amicus says it with his usual confidence, but that doesn't settle the anxiety in my stomach. I sigh in frustration, closing my eyes. Why is everything so complicated with you?
What do you mean?
If you just tell me that the actual truth about everything that's going on, I wouldn't feel like I'm being hit over the head with something new every other day.
Marco, stop worrying. I know things seem unsure, but it's only because of the precarious position our empire is in right now. Once I become emperor, things will settle, and we'll figure out how to get you home.
Amicus sets a paw on my shoulder, and I turn to look at him, my expression probably still gloomy.
I will get you home, Marco. That I promise. And even if the stretch drive isn't immediately restored, I will find a way, even if it means making some sort of deal with another sibling, like the Chemians.
Amicus frowns at his last statement. Still, that does set me at ease, and I place a hand on his paw. Thanks, Amicus. Amicus's very serious tone dissipates, and his ears come up at it as he smiles.
So you're feeling relaxed again? That is why we're here, you know.
I smile. Yeah, I guess so.
Good.
We fall into a bit of silence then, and I lean my head back against the ledge of the pool, letting the warmth take over my body. It makes me feel heavy and tired, but good. My head slips off the ledge a few times as I doze off a bit, each time waking up before my head can go into the water. Amicus knows it's the third time this happens.
Sleepy?
A little.
Lean against me so that you don't make the bottom of the pool your new bed.
I hesitate.
Don't worry, we already share the same bed.
Amicus stretches an arm over the ledge behind my head, and not even looking at me as he does.
Smooth.
I get the weird feeling that I'm in a movie theater, and my date just tried to casually rest his arm on the back of my chair. But my head feels even heavier than the rest of my body, so I give in, letting it rest against Amicus's massive bicep and shoulder. I close my eyes, but then crack them open just a bit to look at Amicus. He seems to be trying to stifle a smile. We've had a few moments like this. At this point, I'm not sure if it's because he likes me or because he sees me as some sort of actual pet, like a cat curling up in your lap. I don't have much time to give it much thought, because I start to fall asleep again. I'm not sure how long I was asleep, seconds or a minute, but that's when I hear the door open. It's not a loud sound, but Amicus jumps, which makes me jump. We both look towards the door. Nephru stands there, his eyes on us, the same smile on his face.
Did you pause because you thought I had something to say?
Yeah, you were.
I just had to take a drink, that's all. I had some cat hair on my tongue.
God.
Oh, imagine running into you today. Again today.
Again, Nephru talks directly to me. Without waiting for me to answer, he strides in, paws busy tugging at his loincloth.
I'm sorry. I've come to the baths every day for the past week, but I've never encountered anyone.
Nephru strips off his loincloth, and now only in his undergarments.
I was beginning to think it was never put to use.
He starts to unwrap a set of undergarments.
I found that strange, considering how incredibly relaxing the water is. It's such a great way to clear the mind and meditate.
He unwraps his underwear. The cloth tied in a way that looked like more complicated than my own.
Not that I mind. I always enjoy good company and conversation.
I have just enough time to notice the anatomical difference between Amicus and Nephru before I look away, feeling awkward staring at someone I barely know in the nude. I'm not sure who he's talking to either, whether he's moved on from me to Amicus, or if he's still exclusively zeroed in on me. Either way, Amicus answers while I stare at the steamy water.
I see. I also enjoy the baths. It's just that we tend to be so busy these days. Oh, I imagine.
Nephru's voice gets closer behind me as he speaks, his soft footsteps barely audible.
Being adrift without an emperor can really hamper an empire.
At this point, it sounds like Nephru is standing just above me, and I can only imagine what else is just over me. Amicus is craning his neck, looking up at the jackal.
Well, we do have an emperor, just not the official one, yet. Indeed.
I hear a soft splash next to me, and out of the corner of my eye, I see one of the jackal's legs dip into the water to stand on the bench, followed by the other.
Ah, that's nice. I took a rather long walk in the gardens today. It's left my paws rather sore. This is a welcome reprieve. Mm-hmm.
Amicus grunts next to me, then actually pulls me in a bit with his arm. Nephru then gently hops off the bench to submerge himself up to his neck. He lets out a soft, drawn-out sigh, his eyes closed before he pulls himself up onto the bench right next to me. Amicus lets out a sigh of his own, though this one is much shorter and very annoyed sounding.
We don't have baths like this in our palace. I might request one, though, once I return home.
Again, Amicus barely responds, letting out a half-hearted grunt. At this point, the wolf has his arms completely around me, practically pulling me into his chest. It's awkward as we sit like that for a while, maybe about 5 minutes before Nephru finally speaks again.
So, how long have you been here, Marco?
I give a start, then look up to Amicus. One of his eyes twitch, but he gives me a short nod. 2 week? Again, I have to hold my breath to stop myself from laughing at my caveman speak. For some reason, it's incredibly hilarious, even when the situation is totally serious.
So you need permission to speak to me. I did not know that you were so strict with your slaves, Amicus.
Amicus coughs in surprise.
He's my pet, not a slave. Oh? Maybe it's a lingua issue, but from what I've seen, that's very little difference. You do enslave your children after all, no? Ooh, saucy. He's a saucy pope.
Amicus is quiet for a moment, and I look back up at him and see him staring at the jackal, his mouth open.
Are you all right? Excuse me, but I'm finding your questions a bit pointed. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been told our way of speaking can be a bit blunt by your standards, but consider that the topic of slavery is simply always pointed. Well, why don't we move on to a less pointed topic, then? Of course. So, Marco, what is your species? I must say, I've never seen your kind before.
Amicus's arms tighten around my shoulders again, but he doesn't say anything, staring straight ahead at the other side of the pool. Simeon? Nephrudu chuckles next to me.
You know, you don't have to speak in such a simple way to me. I already know you can converse well enough.
I stiffen up, but Amicus jumps in for me.
What are you talking about, Jackal? Oh, are we already jumping to informal language? Well, I'm simply referring to his intelligence, Wolf. I'm confused as to why he's downplaying it for me. Well, I don't know how you know anything about him. Come, Marco, let's head back to my room.
Amicus stands up and pulls me up, but Nephrudu stands with us, reaching out for one of the white towels.
That is why I'm trying to make conversation with him. But if he needs your permission to do anything, including speak, then maybe I should leave your slave alone.
Amicus turns on the Chemian, not bothering to hide his anger anymore.
He is not a slave. Please refrain from calling him as such. If he isn't, then he should be able to speak freely. He is able to speak freely, Jackal. Then I have to wonder why he asks your permission and stupefies his speech. It's all a bit odd, isn't it? Again, I don't know how you know anything about him. Alex told me.
The Jackal grins, and I note that he's using Alex's shortened name.
The betrayal.
Amicus stares in surprise.
So don't worry, Marco. You can speak without worrying about what I might learn.
Nephrudu sets a paw on my shoulder, and Amicus's huckles raised.
His hackles.
Hackles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like when the fur goes up on the neck and the back for an animal when they're agitated. Mm-hmm. They raise their hackles.
Gently but firmly, he reaches out to move Nephrudu's paw off my shoulder.
Please do not touch my pet. Oh, so he needs permission to be touched as well?
Amicus steps sideways, practically blocking me from the Jackal's view.
What is your concern with him, Nephrudu? I'm simply interested in intelligent species that I've never seen before, and well...
Nephrudu reaches out over Amicus's shoulder, touching my hair and rubbing it between two finger pads, similar to what Amicus sometimes does.
He is a fascinated looking... Oh shit. Look at how sassy he looks. He's such a sassy boy.
I start to move my head away, but before I know it, Amicus has Nephrudu shoved up against the wall, one paw on his chest, glaring into his face.
I said not to touch him.
His voice is low, almost too quiet for me to hear. I want to jump in somehow, maybe push Amicus towards the door so we could just leave and not cause an interstellar incident, but they're both so big and intimidating.
Oh, right, sorry. I keep forgetting that he's not a slave with the way you treat him, needing your permission for everything. He doesn't.
I step forward then. Well, you need my permission. The statement just sort of slips out of my mouth, my irritation with the Jackal growing along with Amicus's. And Nephrudu's eyes widen for just a moment before he returns a smile.
Ah, so it is true. I knew I saw intelligence in those eyes.
Despite having a canine that's a good deal larger than him, pinning him to the wall, Nephrudu seems quite calm.
You know nothing of the way I treat him, and please do not call him a slave again. It is an affront to his actual status. Again, my apologies.
He looks at me.
May I touch you in a friendly manner in the future? Upon the shoulder, an embrace even? Chemians are always physically intimate.
I stare at him. No. Amicus snorts with satisfaction, blowing back some fur on Nephrudu's face.
Now kindly leave my pet alone in the future. He's very busy. Again, this language that implies that you own him. It's confusing to me.
Amicus growls, but Nephrudu doesn't seem to notice the warning.
I suppose it's only natural for a slave-driving race such as your own. You believe you own everything and everyone lower on the hierarchy. My god, this guy.
And Nephrudu's eyes widen, and nostrils flaring.
What? I'll have you know that they are servants, and I do plan to change it. Never mind. It is not your place to criticize my empire.
Nephrudu seems to take some interest in what Amicus just said, pausing for a moment before speaking again.
Your empire? Didn't you say someone else was acting as the emperor? The empire belongs to all wolves, but I'll have you know that I will become Emperor Jackal. And keeping that in mind, you should learn to hold your tongue if you want to establish an alliance. But does the empire belong to the servants that mine your natural resources across the galaxy? Let me try again. I'm sorry. But does the empire belong to the servants that mine your natural resources across the dozens of planets in our galaxy? What is your issue with me? Or are you this rude to everyone you meet?
The jackal is quiet, and Amicus just growls at him. Oh, whoops. Waiting for an answer. That's when I realize that Nephrudu isn't even looking at Amicus's face. He's looking at... And now that I'm looking at it, I realize that it's looking a bit bigger than usual.
You know, I heard rumors that the Emperor's son was a tail raiser, but honestly, I wasn't expecting you to use this moment as an opportunity. Did you simply want to get your paws on me? Oh my god.
In one smooth, fluid motion, Nephrudu spins into Amicus, thumping his back into the other canine's front, making the big wolf grunt and puff air into the top of Nephrudu's head with an oof sound. And Nephrudu leans there against the wolf, holding onto his big paw while the other comes up to tease at Amicus's chin. Amicus looks surprised, but he doesn't do anything to push the jackal away. And meanwhile, the jackal's rear pushes firmly up against Amicus's crotch. Amicus seems frozen, staring down at the jackal. For what little I learned about Amicus, Adastra slang on TV, Nephrudu had just implied that Amicus is gay.
If you were interested, you only had to ask. I know that woven ways of flirting are rather aggressive, and even though we jackals do things differently, I can adjust.
At that, Amicus glares and roughly pushes Nephrudu away, sending the jackal to stumble against the wall. He turns around swiftly, his grin still in place.
Oh, did I get the wrong idea? I just assumed after you groped my chest and became excited.
Nephrudu gestures down at Amicus's crotch, the wolf's erect cock still waving around a bit after the jackal had spun away.
That's the first time cock is said. How many times is it said in this whole thing?
Enough.
Enough? Okay.
Immediately, Amicus covers himself with both paws, glaring.
I did not. And you were the one to touch my pet without his permission.
Amicus looks around for his underwear, snatching it up and beginning to tie it on. I quickly grab a towel and my robes, feeling completely confused as to what the hell just happened.
Again, I thought he was your slave. But you're right. I should have asked for his permission. His fur was simply mesmerizing, so I forgot myself for a moment.
Nephrudu turns to me and bows.
Good day, Marco. I wish you luck in relieving your master's carnal desires.
Nephrudu gestures at the fumbling wolf as he tries to tie on the underwear correctly.
And to you, Amicus. Again, if you are interested, you only need let me know. Are you joking with me?
Nephrudu is already striding off, grabbing up his own underwear and loincloth as he does, and not even finishing tying it on by the time he's walking out the door. We both stand there in silence for a bit, staring at the door sliding shut. Then Amicus grabs up the rest of his clothes with a growl, turning to me.
You alright?
Yeah, of course. What?
Come on.
And then Amicus is walking off even faster than Nephrudu had. I quickly follow, not bothering to put on my robe since I'm still pretty wet. Okay, we'll end the part there, I think.
Okay. That was so spicy.
Was it?
Nephrudu is like kind of a shit stirrer, but I kind of really like that.
Oh my god, that's because you're a bottom.
Shut
Anyway,
the
have a good
fuck
day,
up!
everyone.